Hi folks, this is All the Fruit, and today I'm a man with a mission. The big durian merchant in the small town of Sokan in Kalimantan, who is currently only buying normal Durian zibethinus. But he says in 2 weeks the zibethinus season is over and he will be buying only Durian kutejensis. Told me about a very rare hybrid tree. He said the tree looks like zibethinus, but the fruits look like kutejensis, which is strange because in the area of this small town there are hybrids between zibethinus and kutejensis, but the trees do look like kutejensis, and the fruit also is more on the kutejensis side, but is thicker and softer and creamier, more or less like a zibethinus, but still with the kutejensis flavor. This tree is supposed to be about 3 kilometers ahead. Here we have the first kutejensis trees. In West Kalimantan, kutejensis is incredibly popular. Actually, in most areas, I saw a lot more kutejensis than zibethinus. Here you can see the tree. The trees are usually younger because they became more popular in more recent times. The most striking difference is that the leaves of kutejensis are more than twice the size of the leaves of zibethinus. So this is a kutejensis tree, and the fruits growing on it also look like kutejensis. Just so that you know what I'm talking about. Nobody says I cannot take videos of other plants while I'm searching. Here, by the way, a zibethinus tree, the one with a couple dead leaves. At least I'm pretty sure it's a Durian zibethinus. Next to it a champedak, although this is a champedak with quite short and thick fruits. I haven't seen champejak around here, but this champedak looks a little bit strange. Also, a lot of young durian trees. Why have they planted them so close together here? This is a little bit too much, I'd say. The road into town is a disgrace, but it's good for an adventure. I wonder what tastier to carpus fruits grow on this one. They don't seem to be in season. Underneath it there is just pretty big champerak or a pretty small jackfruit, not sure. It's so far gone that even the seeds are rotten. If you were in a survival situation, you could find this seed and a couple more well-preserved ones and boil them and eat them. So even if something, well, remember this amateur called, what was it? Wolverine grills, elk grills, boar grills, shark grills, who eats all the dead animals and their poo. Well, you can do the same thing with dead fruit. And yes, every normal fruit you eat is alive and screaming. If I would eat those bananas here, which I wouldn't do, firstly because they are unripe and secondly because they belong to someone, they would totally feel it and they would scream out the signal that they are being eaten currently. But maybe I can eat some nice passion fruits. Nope, only flowers and buds on this vine. People here live in wooden huts, but they build skyscrapers for their tiny birds. They don't even eat the birds or the eggs. They eat the nests. They stopped 100 meters ahead. Guess they decided that the only white man who ever came to town is worth a selfie. It seems that this area of Kalimantan has still not run out of the valuable Bilian timber or Borneo ironwood. Although, to be honest, wait, those things look like they are being recycled from an old house. Yeah, unfortunately, Borneo/Kalimantan has basically run out of one of its most valuable resources, the Bilian timber. This stuff can stay under the worst conditions, that means tropical rainforest climate, plus termites, plus all the other wildlife, for 200 years before decomposing And here they are building a new house from the timber from an old house. Here, a sawmill. They are processing a lot of other timber. As you can see, the beams are much thicker. Well, the sawmill itself is made from billion. This roof is made from billion, so the supports are very thin, thinner than you would imagine possible. But the modern stuff they are processing is not of such good quality, so you need bigger dimensions. And here a lot, basically the houses you see, especially the ones on stilts, you think, how could somebody build something on such thin stilts? No timber can be that strong and that durable. Yes, billion can be that strong and that durable. And it's so good that now that the jungle has basically that Kalimantan and Borneo have run out of jungle, actually recycling old houses, old bridges, any type of old structures has become a profitable business. I've seen stumps far in the jungle where the smallest quantities of timber have been cut from the stumps. Pieces of this size have been cut from the stumps because it's the only ironwood they could get by right now. It is quite scary when the most jungle-rich island in the world suddenly ran out of jungle completely. The monkey guava tree, tasty invasive from tropical America. Really nice fruits. If they were not so common, it's basically a weed. If they were not so common, they would fetch good prices on the market. But whenever a fruit becomes too common, almost nobody would ever bother to sell or buy it, or even eat it, no matter how tasty it is. Well, we might not have a modern road yet, but that doesn't stop us from having a huge modern gas station, even on dirt roads. Cars, and especially bikes, need gas. Mister, terong apa? Terong bulu. Tidak terong asam. Tidak terong asam. Terong bulu. Ini tidak sama terong asam besar. So this to terong bulu. Bulu. So this is one of their confusing solanums. Bulu. Bulu sama rambut. So this is the hairy eggplant, not the sour eggplant or the dayak apple, but the hairy eggplant. Belum masak ini, yeah? Okay, it's not ripe yet. Water or on land, it doesn't matter. People here build everywhere, and the ironwood supports can even support the biggest truck or a several-story building. Well, however, those here, I'm sure they made some stilts, but they kind of miscalculated a little bit, and now the floor is flooded. By the way, building the house in water serves a lot of different purposes. You don't build a drainage system, you just build holes in the ground and drop everything in there. Even when people built on dry ground around here, they would sometimes dig out a pond and build the house upon it, because here the soil is poor, people are poor, and well, human waste is fertilizer. So they would put this on top of a pond, they will put edible fishes in the pond, and so the more you crap, the more tasty fish you have on your table in a couple weeks or months. So yeah, I've seen them very often really dig a pond and then put the house on top of it. And of course, the biggest and most beautiful houses are always the ones of the tiny birds. Caoutchouc became very unprofitable in Malaysia in this century, and now it has become unprofitable even in Kalimantan. I guess maybe some new modern alternatives from petrol have been invented. They are cutting down a lot of their caoutchouc trees around here, replacing the cash crop caoutchouc with a subsistence crop of rice, or with the new crop of oil palm. Well, In older times they would also eat the fruits of the caoutchouc tree, the seeds of the caoutchouc tree, but I don't see a single ripe one on the ground here. I still haven't found out the name of this fern, but my friend Ringus from the BDU Orlanta told me that this fern shows poor soil. I bet it's quite poor. I'm almost at the top of this little hill, and once you remove the jungle, the frequent rains will wash all the nutrient, especially from higher spots. I suspect that there could still be good quality jungle on those hills, on top of those hills. When they cut on the jungle around here, those hills might have been a bit too steep and too high to be profitable. And anyways, back then there were still hundreds of thousands of square kilometers of jungle to be cut on this island alone. Now, well, at least their major crops here, caoutchouc and more recently oil palm, are trees. So at least it's some sort of permaculture. Yes, I know it's not the type of permaculture alternative people like, but it's still better than if they were growing wheat or something, which would destroy the soil. Even the rice paddies they grow here, the hill paddy, they cannot grow hill paddy or dry rice forever. They have to let this land here recover for a couple years after they grow the rice. So fortunately there is no crop here which can basically, there is no really destructive crop like soybeans or wheat here or something like this. All the crops are kind of adapted to the tropical climate. It doesn't mean that they are not destructive, but there could be crops which are even much more destructive. I mean, such a forest-like caoutchouc plantation is still better than a soybean field which is plowed a couple times a year and poisoned with so many pesticides and fertilizers too. I'm the only pedestrian on the road. Nobody here would even think about walking more than 50 meters. Almost nobody is rich enough to own a car, but it seems they have enough money for motorbikes. Here, paku paku, one of the standard ferns eaten around here. From this one you would only be able to eat the tender tip. That's why people would go for something like this, or like this, or even for one of the very young fiddleheads from which you can eat up to a foot. And no, I'm not destroying the local vegetation. Those ferns are secondary vegetation. They crop up everywhere you destroy the jungle. They are not threatened. If anything, they are far too common because they show the disappearance of the original forest. People seem to like it when I bother the Mimosa pudica, one of the fastest moving plants. Once raindrops or animals graze on top of the leaves fall together. See, the area where I stuck my foot and the area where I haven't stuck my foot yet look very different. Now this is a real guava, not closely related to the monkey guava. Big unripe fruits. But here at the roadside I don't think it really officially belongs to someone, and I would take some if they were ripe, or at least half ripe. Here they eat them half or a quarter ripe, unlike in the Spanish speaking world where they mostly like them soft and mushy. Here they like them hard and crunchy. It's the same with pears, by the way. Asian pears are supposed to be hard and crunchy, while Western pears are supposed to be soft and sweet. Here you see that you don't even need a hill for hill rice. This hill rice is planted on more or less flat ground, but not on ground which is suitable for irrigation. Let's check out those durians. This is clearly kutejensis, and the first fruits are starting to ripen. Yeah, the merchant told me that soon they will start the kutejensis business. But what is this? Is it even a durian? Opposite leaves? No, I don't think this is a durian. I think this is a garcinia. There is some yellowish fruit on the ground. It is some garcinia. That's interesting. Let's see what... Oh, here, a kutejensis aerial, a fruit that's already fallen on the ground. Right now I'm more interested in the Garcinia. Nice, mature tree, but I don't see anything on the tree. Down here, somebody has cut the kutejensis, but no good Garcinia fruits, unfortunately. Just a couple rotten ones. Guess I'm a little bit too late for this one. In the last 30 seconds, somebody wrote over this one. I was going to eat that, man. Before I went to check for the Garcinias, this thing was still good and edible. Bah. A little kedundong tree. Dwarf forms of this are very popular because, well, you don't have to climb a huge tree and they are very productive. And they eat the fruits completely green, right in this stage. Oh, look at that. This is some Borneo jungle longan, but not one with normal leaves. Not one with normal longan leaves. Oh, I found something interesting. Look at that. Very interesting. A lot of the jungle longans have leaves like a normal longan, but this definitely doesn't. Now I just need to find a fruit on the ground, because I think if I start smashing around with a stick on that tree without the owner being present, questions will be asked. No fruits on the ground. I definitely have to come back here. This is definitely something new for me. So ka ini buat kelengkeng, ya? Buat kelengkeng. Ini sama longan? Okay, she doesn't know longan, or she disagrees with me. So this is called buat kelengkeng. She says it's not ripe yet. I want to try this. This is very special leaves. The good thing about the fruit being considered worthless is that basically nobody objects when you take a couple. And since we are forager, we totally approve of this. Apart from the slight chemical taste, the monkey guava is a nice fruit. Sweet, sour, with a tiny hint of chemical bitterness, and some aromatic floral flavor. Those are not the best quality fruits, but this is what I could find right now. Those two Langsa trees are completely loaded. And so is the kelengkeng tree over there. However, again, this might be more ripe, but still, unfortunately no construction workers on this site right now. Also, I don't think this is Bilian. At least the planks, definitely something different. Grazing totally transforms every landscape and ecosystem and ecology. One thing grazing does is creating a much tidier environment. In Malaysia, in Borneo, they don't have, in Sarawak they don't have a lot of grazing, so they would achieve a similar look with constant weed whacking. Here we have those big horny weed whackers, which also provide you with tasty meat and from time to time a bit of tasty milk too. Let's pick a monkey guava off the tree. By the way, they also have very beautiful flowers, but right now, its flowering season is all but over. The new cash crop of the area, oil palm. Well, one thing you need when you have oil palms is decentish roads. And you cannot grow them in too remote areas. I've seen a lot of oil palms being planted in areas which were too remote in expectation, in expectation of modern roads which never arrived. Those bunches of palm nuts are heavy, so basically this road, It's okay-ish, but a couple dozen palm nut trucks a day, in addition to the present traffic, will make the road unokayish very fast. So basically in areas where you have bad roads, you grow more stuff like black pepper or caoutchouc or different types of longans or dabai or other expensive, very labor consuming fruits. As soon as you get good roads, you switch to oil palm because it's usually more profitable and gives you a constant profit. Okay, a bunch of ladies waiting for selfies, but I found something up there. This is some sort of nephelium, some rambutan relative, but it's not a rambutan. I really need to find the owner or user of this house because I need this fruit here. Where are they? Nobody here. This is some type of nephelium. Ah, kabuapa! If they want to use me for selfies, I'm gonna use them for botanical reference. Buagara! A type. Buadulu! They say selfie first, I say fruit first. A man must have priorities. Those cuties might be cute, but the fruit is cuter. I hope they don't speak English. Saya dari German. This nice guy brought me water and langsat. Bang, saya di kampung ini suka durian langka, ya. Ini pokok pekawai, ya. Durio kutejensis. Ini buah durian, ya. Durian biasa. Durio zibethinus. Ada di kampung ini pokok sama pohon durian buah sama buah pekawai. Di mana? Oh, he says the durian is here.
Itu buah pekawai.
Ya, ini pohon pekawai. Ini
ada durian.
Ini pekawai biasa. Di kampung ini ada pohon sama pohon durian. Buah sama buah pekawai. Dia ada durian ini. Tidak pohon pekawai, pohon durian, buah pekawai. Ada di sini?
Ada.
Di mana?
Tapi pokoknya.
Pokok durian.
Iya.
Buah tidak durian, buah pekawai. Di kampung ini. Bos durian besar dari sana.
Iya.
Tell me, di sini, di kampung ini, ada ini pekawai langka, durian langka. Pohon durian, buah pekawai. Ini pohon pekawai. Ada buah pekawai. Ada di sini pohon durian, buah pekawai.
Tidak ada.
Pokok
durian, buahnya tetap durian.
Pokok durian, buah durian. Pokok pekawai, buah pekawai.
Buahnya pekawai.
Di kampung ini ada satu pokok durian, buah pekawai.
Tidak.
Tidak di sini.
Tidak.
Okay.
Tidak.
So he says, nope. The zibethinus trees, they carry zibethinus fruits. The kutejensis trees, they carry kutejensis fruits. He says there is no zibethinus tree here that carries kutejensis fruits. So I have to continue to search. This village is quite long. It's possible that it's on the other end. Talking with the guy while being invited to taste the langsat, clear water, and nice bananas. Pisang apa ini?
Bananas itu.
Nama pisang ini?
Pisang rawa.
Pisang rawa. So the name of this banana variety is pisang rawa. Not even sure if I've eaten it. Very white inside. Some bananas like the golden banana are really yellow inside. Some are cream color. This is pretty white. Pretty chewy. Not completely ripe. There is still a hint of astringency. Not too sweet, not too sour. Nice everyday banana. At least this guy was clever enough to ask me the name of the village. I told him Durian Langka di Kampung Berau. He said, oh, here is not Kampung Berau. Not yet. You have to go further. So this guy saved me. I thought already, no rare durian here. No, the white man is just too stupid to find the right village. The Enkala fruit is also called the Borneo avocado. Although it's not an avocado, it's not even related to the avocado. It's not even being prepared like an avocado. It doesn't even look like an avocado. But if you prepare it right, you end up with a nice oily taste. How do you get a nice oily taste? Either you take a very ripe, almost overripe fruit, then you can eat it like this. Or you put the still unripe fruits into warm water. You don't even need to boil them. Warm water is enough. And after that, they're usually served with salt or with other things. And they are very rich in fat and provide a nice oily meal. Good in a jungle area where fat is not so easy to come by. Rubus mollucanus is the only common bramble around here, with edible fruits that resemble and are closely related to raspberries, just not as tasty as raspberries. Two big sugar palms. The fruits are kind of edible, but seem to be very hard to prepare. The most famous use is, of course, to tap the male inflorescence for sugar, but you can also eat the tasty heart of palm. You can also use it for different uses. For example, you can use the bristles to make brooms and other things, and of course you can use the leaves for roofs and stuff like that. Single oil palms were planted here a long time ago, but only now does this take off as a business. Here is a durian tree with the typical leaves, the typical leaf petioles, typical beautifully coppery underside, but we are looking for a tree that looks like a durian, like a zibethinus. This was a zibethinus, but produces kutejensis fruits. Here you can see, here you could see the size of a durian tree, of a more or less average durian tree compared to the motorbike before it disappeared. And here we have terong pipit, the pea eggplant. The fruits have not been tempered with by not natural but artificial selection, so they are still small, very tasty when prepared properly, and are still able to spread, unlike all those modern eggplants. Here in the background you can see, well, actually in the foreground, they cut down the rubber tree plantations. They plant rice for the first 1 or 2 years. Among the rice they plant oil palms. Among the oil palms they plant young durians. So after they slash and burn the rubber tree plantation, just in the same way they slash and burn the original jungle or their secondary vegetation, they slash and burn it because rubber simply doesn't bring the prices they want. They first plant the rice, which is good, it covers the ground. But the area can produce rice only for, well, here they could try for 2 or 3 years because they have to keep the area open anyways. Then the oil palms are gonna produce for a couple decades, but those people think generations ahead. Those durians, maybe they will make a couple fruits in 2 or 3 years, but in a couple decades they will be really crucial, well, for the nourishment of the family and also as a valuable cash crop. There is some sugar cane along the road. However, the sugar cane is too thin. This is not, either this is sugar cane gone feral or it hasn't been harvested in time. It has those big flowers, so maybe it's not even proper sugar cane, but it looks very sugar cane-ish. If I find the young the young flower buds, the young flower buds of wild sugarcane are really tasty, but really difficult to find. Here on the other side, the same thing. The rubber plantation has been slashed and burned to rice, and oil palms have been planted. In this case, not so many durian trees, but a couple manioc plants. The manioc plants here are double use. They will bring valuable leaves for a spinach-like vegetable, and also valuable tubers. We are in the rice harvesting season. Here they are drying the rice in front of the hut. The sun is really strong, even when it's cloudy, the sun is still pretty strong, even although you don't see it directly. And as soon as rain approaches, they can just gather this and put this into the hut. Here's something interesting. Squirrels are a big problem here. At least 1 out of 3 or 4 men I see on the motorbikes has a gun. Usually those are for the squirrels. You can also put metal around the tree trunks. This is done especially for durian trees like this one, but also for langsat trees. You don't want the squirrel to climb any of your trees, and anyway, if it manages to climb the langsat tree, it can also get on the durian tree. Yeah, the Dayak here, they do eat squirrels regularly. The Muslims usually don't, but I guess that doesn't stop them from shoot them. Squirrels are a pest after all. Yeah, and I know they are part of the ecosystem, but once you turn the ecosystem into farms, you start separating the wildlife into useful stuff and pests and edible pests. Also, rain is a big problem for the rice, like for any other grain. This rice lay down too early. They still harvested it, but I think they lost quite a lot in the process. Well, this one they lost while putting it in the tambok. This one they cut and lost. Here are the rice grains. Well, actually probably they threw it away because the rice grains are not fully developed. Jenkol trees. Those produce a very smelly bean. Yeah, here we don't have so many herbal vegetables, but a lot of tree leaves, tree fruit especially, or unripe fruits are being used as vegetables. I guess they are less work than a garden with small herbaceous vegetables, or it's more traditional from the time when foraging in the jungle was more important than having a garden. The jenkol beans make your pee smell bad, and I think they're also not good for your kidneys. Singapore rhododendron, beautiful ornamental with edible fruits, but they are not ripe. Also, you can chew the stems if you have some problems in your mouth, like bleeding gums, or you can use them against any other sort of inflammation. And if the inflammation is serious, you can use the much more potent roots instead. When the fruit gets ripe, the lid pops off. You can eat the black inside. This is too small. See here, the lid pops off. Those fruits are really on the small side. And then you take the small fruit, which is usually pretty dry because it has no protective cover. It's sweet, not bad. I think the use as a herb is much more interesting than the use as a fruit in this case. Jungle almonds. I think the Latin name is Pentaspadum motley or something like this. See thousands of them on this tree. Most of the ones on the lower branches have been harvested, but there are still a couple. The exocarp is made up of a spongy material, which is good for floating in water. That's why they pretty much always grow along rivers and streams. Anyang. Once you extract the super tasty seed, it's delicious. It's even better when cooked. So here we have an accumulation of snacks. This can be very interesting wherever you are, whether you want to learn something about an area or you want to survive in a survival situation. A bit surprising, less trash than I expected and more planks than I expected. Okay, some of it will be trash from the sawmills. But so much, see, so many planks and rafters and stuff here, a whole platform. The high water has taken a lot of infrastructure, it seems. A lot of bamboo. Also not so many natural trunks and branches. Most of the trash here is basically planks and bamboo. Not a lot of trash, despite the fact that most of the town is throwing its trash into the river. Not any particularly interesting fruits or seeds. I see a couple durian husks, but nothing too exciting. At least when you see the planks, such an amount of planks and trash, you know there are settlements upriver. This can be important if you get lost. Like, you see no trash in the river, you definitely go downriver to meet a bigger river or to find the sea, to find people. But if you see a lot of trash in the river, it could be a better bet to go upriver. Also, unfortunately, see this stump and this stump? Those trees in this case have grown over the water and grown really asymmetrically. Here is still one tree. Those are shorea trees. Those are the tallest non-coniferous trees, the tallest trees that don't look like a Christmas tree. When they grow near the rivers, they're usually not so tall, but they develop a very thick asymmetric stem. This stem is probably 2 meters thick, but the stems can get well over 3 meters thick. But when they grow in the deep jungle, probably in some deep gorges, they can get, in exceptional cases, over 100 meters tall. Nothing except a couple sequoias and similar trees gets slightly taller than that. They produce tasty, well, nuts which produce a tasty edible oil, but nowadays the merchants don't seem to buy them so easily anymore, so the nut collection has stopped, and unfortunately instead of that they are using them for their quite good quality timber. Here is a caoutchouc tree with a couple unripe fruits, quite low over the dirt road. Let's see, no ripe seeds down here. The seeds are edible, but I cannot find any right now. Some garcinia, some mangosteen relative, but no fruits. Champedak tree. Champedaks are much sweeter and more aromatic than jackfruit. Too sweet and too aromatic for mass consumption. But their biggest problem is that they are seasonal. While jackfruit is producing all year round, the champedak basically, has just one season per year, while a lot of seasonal fruits have two. In the background I see a durian. I'm kind of hungry, but okay, let's not steal it right now. Also here a bunch of rambutan trees, but most don't seem to be in season. And the mangosteen, this should be the purple mangosteen. However, the fruits are not ripe, so they are not purple, just a pale green right now. When the ramba is ripe, the fruit season is towards its end. Ramba, what was it? Bacaurea motleyana, I think. Tastes exactly. It has the exact flavor of cherries. Yeah, at this state of the ripeness, it tastes of cherries. Wow, look at this incredible mass of teeny tiny figs, I guess. None lying on the ground, so I cannot be sure. But the tree and the fruits look a lot like figs.